Welcome to another Colors of Prague, Season 3, Episode 4, for those who are paying attention. New music today, Spock's Beard and the Neal Morse Band. Well, Spock's Beard had been around for a while. Of the so-called neo-prog bands, they pretty much were very influential on a whole new breed of musicians into progressive music. The Light was their first album released in 1995. Originally, Spock's Beard featured Neal Morse on lead vocals, keyboards, and guitars, his brother Alan Morse on guitars and keyboards, Dave Meros on bass, and Nick DiVirgilio on percussion and vocals. That debut featured only 4 songs, but 2 of them were new wave suites. The Light, 15 minutes long, and The Water clocks in at over 23 minutes. And that one is in 7 parts. Keyboardist Ryo Akamoto joined the band for Beware of Darkness in 1996. I'm trying to cut a lot of this stuff out. V or 5 from 2006 features one of their great songs, really. The Great Nothing, a 27-minute 6-part monster of a tune. V or 5 is probably one of their best albums. By 2003, Neal Morse had left the band and Nick DiVirgilio moved over to lead vocals. By 2013, so 10 years later, Ted Leonard, also of Enchant, joined as lead singer and guitarist, with Jimmy Keegan moving to percussion. Here's the thing, I mentioned in other shows, people leaving bands, coming back, or people being in multiple bands at the same time, unable to be available for the recording sessions, so they contribute like drums here, keyboard there, some backing vocals, occasionally pop up for a lead vocal. They're not really in Spock's Beard, but they come back, leave. This happens a lot with this band. Keegan was pretty much gone by 2018's Noise Floor, which saw the return of Nick DiVirgilio. Of course, Ted Leonard, Dave Meros, Jimmy Keegan formed yet another band called Pattern Seeking Animals, which was released 5 albums from 2019 to 2025. I think they did a recent one, which brings us to the crazy named the Archaeoptimist, the first Spock's Beard album in 7 years. Now, new drummer Nick Potters joined the band, but this pretty much is a Ryo Okamoto-dominated record. During the time when everyone else was off doing pattern-seeking animals, Ryo was said to have been writing this post-apocalyptic saga, and it was up to Ted Leonard to interpret this music and write the lyrics for this album. Now it's welcome feeling to have Spock's Beard back as a band, and the album does start off promising, the Spock's Beard album, with the lead-off tune Invisible, which actually sounds like something from a Neal Morse band album, or a very early Spock's Beard album that Neal was on. The combination of melody, tunefulness, crunchy guitars, it's the most Ted Leonard has sounded like Neal Morse in a long time. And that's the thing, Ted Leonard does work with Neal. He's supported Transatlantic on live shows. He's even appeared as an additional member. He's appeared on Neal's solo albums. So it's very, these guys are all interconnected. Unfortunately, after Invisible, it all goes down quickly from there. There's no denying the musical abilities of the members of Spock's Beard, but the constantly changing tempos within songs and the lyrics are kind of like, obviously written to approach most of the music Rio has written, but it's just I got lost. I mean, how many? I mean, it's genius, but at the same time, it's for a listener. How many times can you switch tempos in a song? It's just kind of crazy, crazy. So like you could tell these were written on the keyboard. Um, I've given this many attempts of listening to this album, but aside from Invisible, you two might struggle a bit to get through this one. But there are many Spock Spirit fans out there who will take any new music sent their way, and I'm sure they will be thrilled. I consider myself a fan of the band, seen them a few times live. I just didn't think this one was solid enough. Now, this could be a case, not even though it's been years between albums, maybe was one where it didn't feel like a band album. It felt like band members making contributions to songs that weren't really fully created by them. That's the feeling I got from this one. The Neal Morse band makes a surprising return with Lift. Um, yes, after each letter in the word lift, there is a period. Now known as simply NMB. Well, they've been for a while now. Um, for Neal Morse, I can't imagine anyone currently listening to modern progressive music and not knowing who he is. Besides his solo music, Neal fronted Spock's Beard, as I said, for years, and led the Prog supergroups Transatlantic and Flying Colors. The first album credited to the Neal Morse Band was 2015's The Grand Experiment. By then, band members who had worked with Neal solo on supergroups and oddity records like the covers albums, which are really good, um, and you need to hear. I think I did a show on those a year or two ago. Or they include Mike Portnoy on drums and vocals, Eric Gillette on guitars and vocals, Randy George on bass, and Bill Hobauer on keyboards and vocals. Now, the Grand Experiment was followed the next year by the Similitude of a Dream, and it was followed by the Grand Adventure in 2019, pardon me, and Innocence and Danger in 2021. And all good places to step into in case you're unfamiliar with the band. Very melodic, big sounding, crunchy guitars, sometimes bordering onto maybe melodic metal. Um, Everyone in this band gets a moment to shine. And yes, Neal gets to embrace his interest in his personal faith throughout, but the songs are more tempered. They never hit you over the head with preaching. That's one thing with the Neal Morse band as opposed to, and I see this a lot. I read these reviews. I get it. Some people don't care for Neal Morse's solo albums or sometimes the very spiritualness of them, which is his own personal thing. But the Neal Morse band, which may contain elements of that, does it very well. And if you don't embrace it, that's fine. Just go with the music, go with the feel. But I understand if it's not for you. Now, after some constant touring, it looked like the Neal Morse band just broke down. Eric Gillette co-founded the metal prog band Temic. Mike Portnoy rejoined Dream Theater, and Bill Hubauer joined Crack the Sky. 70s prog-related stalwarts are still at it. Now, Neal released, during that time period, he released two projects about the character Joseph from the Bible, The Dreamer, and the Restoration. And in both, he had a lot of help from people like Ted Leonard, Nick DiVirgilio, Ross Jennings of Hagen. And then he also recorded Cosmic Cathedral, which is a standalone album from that band, featuring Chester Thompson on drums from Genesis, Phil Keaggy on guitars and vocals, and Byron House on bass. Neal even recorded with local musicians in 2024, releasing an album contributed to that band as Neal Morse and the Resonance, called No Hill for a Climber. So it's been 5 years since the last Neal Morse band album. And Port and I have been busy touring and recording with Dream Theater. So we started to think maybe that ship had sailed. Never say never, in Prague anyway. During the waning days of 2025, word got out that the band reformed and pretty much recorded in secret what turned out to be L.I.F.T, which was released in 2026. This one is an immediate favorite of mine, 13 songs, over 70 minutes of music. It's great to hear that unique sound that they have, that unique sound they bring to progressive music. Even if it sounds a little bit more radio friendly nowadays, which is fine, everybody needs a hit. This might be the first Neal Morse band album attributed to this band that I believe is not a concept album from start to finish. It's got some great songs, Fully Alive, which sounds like it could have come off of Innocence and Danger, and Shame About My Shame, which purely distills everything great about this band. Again, catchy melodic harmonies, songs that seem Beatlesque at times, intricately woven ballads, and tremendous musicianship. And there are some long ones here. Pardon me. Is a multi-part song called Hurt People, which runs 8 minutes, and Love All Along, which soars past the 11-minute mark. Good stuff. If you like the Neal Morse Band's previous albums without the symphonic and multi-part sections, it's right up there. Again, I couldn't say more about this one. I think this is the Neal Morse Band is one of my favorites of 2026. I will not forget that when it comes time to just get it all together. So what did I hear this year that was new? I suppose I thought 2025 was a rather weak year in progressive music. There were a lot of good recordings. There were a lot of new music. There was a lot of new music in 2025, but I felt there was nothing. Not a lot of them were great. This is a great one. Spock's Beard is a good one. I spoke of that just now. So that's our show. I hope to hear some more new music coming out that just grabs me, that grabs you. And I know people are not going to agree with a lot of what I said about Spock's Beard. Yes, that lead-off song, I think it was called Invisible. It's just terrific. And then the rest of the album crumbles into overwritten, too much stuff going on at once music. And it could have been better. But, get back out there and give us some more music. They're going to be touring. I'm going to be seeing them anyway. So I do love them. So, I like them a lot. And, just not a great album. So that being said, Neal Morse Band L.I.F.T is a great album for me. And it's really good, highly listenable. That's our show for today. I'll see you again soon.